Y'all know what time it is. It's the one and only RDOTT with the infamous COOKOFF. And this is the Rich Already podcast, man. I'm rich, he rich, she rich, stay rich already. We rich, stay rich, stay rich, stay rich already. Get rich, stay rich, be rich, stay rich already. I'm rich, he rich, she rich, stay rich already. I'm rich, he rich, she rich, stay rich already. We rich, stay rich, stay rich, stay rich already. Get rich, stay rich, be rich, stay rich already. I'm rich, he rich, she rich, stay rich already.
Yes. You're now rocking with the best. I'm COOKOFF.
It's RDOTT.
And we now tuned into Rich Already podcast.
Excuse me. Today, the topic of discussion is for the women. You know, it's self-appreciation and recognizing the queen in you. Today, we got a special guest host alongside of us, the beautiful author of book Through the Eyes of Love and Deeper Love, Tia Kemali. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
I was waiting to see if he was gonna get it right.
Yeah, I told you I got memory like an elephant. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. You know, like I said, topic of discussion is for our black women and culture and community, self-appreciation and recognizing the queen in you. And we gonna talk about, you know, how the women, you know, can recognize and show that staying true to self and showing that self-appreciation for self, and not opposed to not what society influences say what you are will make you beautiful, will make you you, and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Since we have you here, Tia, you know, you could chime in and say what makes you appreciate yourself and recognize the queen and who you are?
Well, speaking from personal experience, it took me a while to get to that point. You know, as it's shouldn't be normal, but it is of the norm. Like, a lot of women have went through a lot of traumatic things in adolescence. So, you know, you grow up feeling less than you actually are. So it takes a little time to kind of develop and come into, you know, who you are. So for me, it took a little while. But, you know, I started realizing through reciprocating, you know, sending out things and getting that back, and also through repeating the same stuff. So, you know, if you go through something enough times, you ain't learn nothing from it, you're bound to keep repeating it. So I had to kind of learn that lesson, and through learning that lesson, it kind of empowered me. So, you know, hearing somebody tell me, no, you can't do something, made me want to do it even more. So, you know, when I first put my first book out, I had friends, my mom, like people that, you know, didn't talk to me for weeks after that, because they were like, well, I felt like they was writing about me. But I wasn't writing about them, I was writing about myself. But the thing is, we go through so much of so many similar things, but people take it differently. So, you know, different things affect a woman, like you said, social media, appearance, things that we go through with men. You know, if you're dating a man and, you know, he's constantly putting you down and telling you can't wear this or you can't wear that, sometimes even outside of that relationship, you're like, well, I know I can't wear this dress, it don't look good on me, because somebody told you, instead of just, you know, wearing that and being you. Because no matter what you wear, if you feel confident, then you are confident. Like, nobody can tell you anything otherwise. If you feel beautiful, you are beautiful. You are what you believe.
But so if you're in a relationship, you do want, I guess you want to get that gratification from your partner who you in a
Of course you
relationship
do.
with, you know what I'm saying?
Of course you do.
Without losing yourself within that whole relationship, and letting them dictate how you should dress and who you should be and how you should do things. You know, I know nowadays we call it being woke and more conscious, and you know, it's a lot of people in the culture is more quote unquote woke, staying woke and more conscious. To me, I think that's a newer term, because, and it's a good thing that a lot of people and females are being mindful and waking up to some of these issues, because back in the day, the only ones that I know that showed this self-appreciation or recognizing the queen in them was people like Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, Jill Scott, India Ari. You know what I'm saying? So back then it wasn't so much. It wasn't that much understood of what the message they was trying to put out to the women and being who you are and accepting who you are. But now it's come into play, and still in some instances, women still do things to, I guess, compete with others or fix themselves up just to have more self-appreciation for themselves. What you think about that?
I think that, yeah, I do. I don't think there's more so competition. I think it's more so like a follow the leader. So if you see someone that's really popular and out there and in the mainstream and they're wearing a certain thing and they're a certain size or figure or their shape is a certain way, then that's what you're striving for. You're like, oh, I gotta have a ass like, what's her name, Amber Rose, or, I gotta have boobs like Nikki, or my waist gotta be small like Holly, like, so you're aiming to be these people and you don't even have that body size. So you have people going out and having all these surgeries and they're still not happy with themselves. It's because, like, they're doing that for the media, the mainstream. That's what the popular belief of beautiful is. So that's what they're doing. But you have to find your own beauty because, like with me, like I say, I feel like I can stand to drop a few pounds or whatever. But for me, whatever I wear, I feel confident in. I could care less because, like I said, it took me a long time to get there. I grew up like a tomboy. So, I'm kind of branching out of my shell now. But it's the hardest thing is to go against what popular belief is.
Yeah, okay. Because to me, I think for women, self-appreciation is loving who you are, regardless of what you do, what other people may think or look at you as. You know what I'm saying? If you want to cut your hair and go all natural, you want to put weave in your hair, whatever the case may be, you doing it for yourself, not for the outside people. People on the outside looking in to judge and tell you, oh, this makes you look beautiful, or you should dress like this, or just to give them that self-inspiration. So that self-appreciation comes from the inspiration within yourself,
But then subliminally, society puts that out to where, oh, you gotta look like this, you gotta look like that. Like, just recently, it was Dove commercials.
Good.
That it was a black girl and she uses Dove and then she transformed into a Caucasian woman. So what does that mean?
I mean, that's another thing about
dirt off, or like, you know what I'm saying? You already there, beautiful.
You have your sisters out here who've gone through that or try to go through that transformation and bleaching their skin to make themselves look lighter because they don't.
Yeah,
like
me being a Jamaican, that is very prevalent in my culture. You even have men bleaching their skin. Yeah.
Really?
So that's very one of my teenage jobs. I worked in a beauty supply store while I was going to hair school, and our top seller was bleaching creams. I mean, I swear to you, our top seller, Africans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Americans, like our top seller across the board was bleaching creams in a hair store. So I mean that's like very popular. That's always been popular. It's just that it's seen more now or noticed more now, talked about
it's more prevalent
now. Right. But just like you said with the Dove commercial, like, back in the day or before, people wasn't really wearing their natural hair. Like, when they had afros popular, yeah, but I mean lately, but like in our time of growing up, it was, known that you want to press your hair out, or, like that's what beautiful was. Beautiful was straightening your hair or putting a weave in or shaving off one side. TLC did the little bob thing, so everybody started following trends. It was more of a trend type thing. And now, almost in every commercial or movie where you see a black person, they have them in natural hair. So now it's popular again to have your natural hair. So you have people cutting
Really?
off. Yes, you haven't noticed?
I haven't really noticed. Me personally, I'm biased about certain things. If you wear weaves and that's your thing and you look good, cute in it, okay, have at it, no problem. You know what I'm saying? But the women that's going back to natural and what Lady Array's look, Afro puffs or nappy, whatever, that's still beautiful as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing, is that you know, that's a part of the self-appreciation.
Right, no matter how you look.
So when a woman wear the weaves and stuff like that, again, that's their choice. Just like back in the days, it was a lot of guys' choice to put the conch in the hair. But what they was doing it for is to straighten it instead of just embracing their natural self.
Right.
So now, fast forward to this timeline, we dealing with women, black women, and even some Caucasians. They use weaves and stuff, extensions too.
Right.
Now.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think because with black women is what I predominantly deal with. When you talk on that level, me, I feel like it might be like a kind of self-hate, maybe. I may be wrong. I don't know.
I think that, and see, I've kind of straddled the fence with the whole topic of self-hate, with wanting to discuss it or not. With wanting to, we gotta go?
Yeah, exactly. So.
With wanting to discuss that or not, because, you know, my grandfather is German, and, you know, he migrated to Jamaica. I have, my other grandfather is Maroon from Sierra Leone, West Africa. He migrated to Jamaica. So, you know, I'm split down the middle. I have black, I have white, but I identify as black.
Okay.
But, you know, so I have dated black men, I have dated white men. I wouldn't say that it's like a self-hate, but what I would say, well, what I used to say was that there's a difference in the way that you're treated. But, you know, now, don't look at me like that.
I'm listening.
Let me finish. But now, I feel like it's my civic duty to, you know, enlighten us, period, men and women, you know, on our history, on, you know, where we come from, and trying to get everybody to that level of self-love, because we have lost so much and been stripped of so much, and you know, the family ties and the structure has been broken. So yes, you're gonna think, okay, well, let me run over here because they're gonna treat me better because to them I'm so exotic or whatever, you know what I mean? But instead of trying to get back to, you know, our family dynamic and building each other up and, you know, furthering us. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I with my black brothers, I'm here with y'all.
Right. Okay. So you agree with the women wearing weaves, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So,
I gotta weave in.
Right. Exactly. So once again, like I'm saying, and I said I'm biased about it because a lot of women that wear weave, they're attracted with it, and to me, women that's natural attracted with it. If you got your hair and it's in a little perm and it's down to your shoulder, still attracted to me. But at the same time, don't you think that's taken away from the actual strength of the black woman and their culture of being a strong black woman?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
You don't think it's Europeanizing a little bit?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't. Because I think that if you talk about the black diaspora, we were originally everywhere. And,
Facts.
you know, like I had this conversation on Instagram the whole night. But, and this might be too deep for this conversation right now, but the original Indian were black, you know what I mean? You have Europeans who still have copper toned skin or whatever, so where do they come from? Yes, it was inbreeding, but it could also mean that we might have been there first too, you know what I mean? That's still up for debate, but what I'm saying is that with that knowledge that we have predominance in so many different areas and have been there from the beginning of time, we look different, we have different types of hair, you know, our hair is adaptable depending on the climate or, you know, all the different things. So at the end of the day,
not straight.
What's not straight? There were black people with straight hair. There were black people with straight noses
without
and thin
chemicals?
lips. Without chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Without chemicals.
Okay.
We can go and pull up the articles after.
Yeah, we can.
So seriously, so you know what I'm saying is that we're so broad, like we're like a broad spectrum of black, right?
Is that correct?
You can dilute black and get every other color, but you can't dilute every other color and get us. So why would we not be able to possess both recessive and dominant traits? I don't think it takes away, because my hair is curly. And yes, I have some mixes, but that doesn't make me, I don't identify as any less black than you do.
Right, okay, that's fun, but okay, so how often, because since you say you wear wigs, okay, how often do you go and just, let me just wear my regular hair, just, embrace myself and just forget that wig?
I chop my
How
hair
often?
off. I cut my hair off all the time. I might wear it for a day or two in between a weave, but I mean, I love my hair. I love my weave. I do a lot of different hairstyles. I always tell anybody that dates me, you want to date 50 million people and it's all going to be one person. But, at the end of the day, I don't do that because I have issues with myself. I do that because I don't feel like pressing my hair every single day.
Queen in you. So how is that wearing the weave is recognizing the queen in you? That's my question, I guess.
Because I guess it depends on the reason why you do it. Like for me, it's not
for notoriety. For
exactly.
No.
It's because I don't feel like pressing my hair out every single day. So my hair is natural. But my weave is straight. So if I want to wear my weave straight, if I want to wear the curly, if I want to wear a little kink to it, I can do all of that without processing my real hair.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is my crown because it's on top of my hair. But I mean, it depends on the reason why you're doing it. Because you have some women who feel like they can't live without a weave. If nobody in China, if people in China stopped selling hair and nobody in India was cutting their hair off no more, and we had no more bundle hair, I would be fine. Because I love my natural hair, because I don't process my own natural hair. So underneath this, I still have my curls.
All right, well, it's good to hear it from a female's perspective, because I often just toy around with that whole idea, you know what I'm saying? Because it makes me wonder, like, that's $1 billion industry, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, they know that sisters, predominantly black women, is going to rush to these Asian or Chinese or whoever stores and buy the hair products and stuff like that. And so, okay, if you get some hair products or shampoo or stuff, something that smells good and stuff like that, that's cool. But then when you go and you buying the weave, so what standpoint is that on?
Yeah, but I think that
you said it's not taken away from loving yourself.
It's not taken away from loving yourself, because even if I wore my natural hair and I pressed it out, right? Who was it that created a pressing comb?
A black woman.
Exactly. Madam C.J. Walker. Exactly. So we created these. No matter what, the light bulb, everything. No matter what you go back to, we still have a foot in it. We still have a hand in all of that. So. And I don't want to say it to be offensive to anyone else, but I mean, at the root of everything stands. So I don't think it's taken away from anything. I think that loving yourself and loving who you are has a lot to do with knowing your history, not just your hair and your looks or whatever. That's where we place everything right now, because now it's how I look and how my hair is or whatever. But but like he says about staying woke. You really got to dig deep and go all the way back. You got to know where you're from, the history of them, their culture, their mannerisms, those different type of things, because that's how you love yourself. If you don't know who you were, who your ancestors are, you can't really truly love yourself. I can love my appearance, but I don't know my history.
Staying woke, everybody say that now because the song and now it turns into a phrase.
It's a new phrase.
Yeah. But there's a difference between staying woke and actually being woke.
Right,
being
right.
woke, then that means, like you mentioned, a light bulb and this and that. So that means a person is going outside the box, or thinking outside the box, and going to do research of showing how powerful the culture is.
Right, but you have to.
Staying in them ways.
You have to. Like, I meditate, I listen to frequencies, I do a lot of different things to be in tune with who I am. Because I can say that I'm fine, and then you say the wrong thing and I'm ticked off. So if I don't work on controlling me and keeping my own personal calm, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that I can deal with everybody else on that type of level. So it takes a different type of energy. Like, you have to be on level playing field. You can't, you know what I mean? You have to know who you are. You have to be able to control your inner
So
you.
basically, whether you have a weave or you don't have a weave, every day you have to look in the mirror. You still content with what you see. You know what I'm saying? Okay, because a lot of women might not be. You know what I'm saying? That's why you had the TLC song, So Pretty. You remember that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I've been there before. That's what I was telling you with growing up and dealing with certain things or whatever. Like, it does take a while to get there. You have to do some deep soul searching. But even in that song, like, she's they're saying you can take away all the clothes, you can take away all that stuff, you know what I mean? But it takes a long time to get there because we have all that right now. We got the clothes, we got the hair, we got the shoes, we got, you know, all that stuff. So you would have to strip away each individual thing and still stand in front of a mirror and love you. But that's what that song is saying, like you have to get to that point. So we got to be willing to get to that point. Because you can go in the strip club and tell the stripper all day, you're beautiful, you shouldn't be doing this, da 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 da.
She might not feel that way mentally though.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of what she's doing or
Right. Or how fast the money's coming or whatever, you know what I mean? So you have to be ready to make that change in order to make the change.
Well, we got a caller right quick. We're gonna jump to the phone lines and see what this caller has to say. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
How you doing?
Got last name of social security numbers. How you doing? Hey.
How are you?
I'm coming all the way from. I'm good. I'm coming from Ohio. But that's not where I'm from. But this is where I'm calling from. How we doing, everybody?
Oh, we blessed. How you feeling?
We're doing good.
Good. I'm gonna touch on this subject about self-worth. See, I'm Hispanic. I'm Puerto Rican and white. So as far as like, you know, your self-worth and how you feel about and how we encourage ourselves, at the end of the day, I can throw out cookies and rainbows and I can sit here and say, oh, you know, today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to love myself. And what happens is you step out into reality. When you step out into this reality is the world in itself. And they're going to come at you or say, oh, you know, your dress was cute or roll your eyes. You got some haters.
Right.
There's going to be tons of naysayers that got something to say about you every day, okay?
Right.
And what we do is we can say we don't care, but a lot of times women, we do all the time. We're like, I don't care, that's that girl, you know, she ugly, she this and that. But it hits home. We'll go home and be like, dang, you know, was my makeup cute, or do my boobies look fake, or, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like it's not even necessarily, it's a society as a whole as we bring each other down constantly.
Right.
Men do it to women do it to men, women to women. I mean, to me, women is the worst.
We're worse, right.
Keeping it together, like supporting each other. But we bring each other so down so far, it's not even funny.
Women and women.
Kind of mess. I mean, you got dudes on dudes to be like, hey, you know, they still love to each other, period. Women, I mean, we cutthroat.
Right.
And what we need to start doing is like watching each other's backs and encouraging each other and meaning it. Because we could say this shit, all day. We could say, girl, I'm so happy for you. But then turn around and be like, that bitch is stupid. Or that
Yeah, you see that every day.
Yeah. And women, we constantly are hating on each other all the time.
So
Like,
let me ask you a question.
I mean, that's where our work comes from.
Let me ask you.
Now, mind you, I'm just talking about current. Now, I'm not talking about from when we're younger. You know, a lot of us go through a lot of, you know, abuse in the home, whatever goes on as a child, and you carry that with you. But I'm talking about as us as women, you know, just us women need to cut it out.
All right, hold on. Let me ask you this question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have children? Do you have any girls or such?
I have 3 girls.
Okay, so how with that being said, and what you just said, how do you teach them to love themselves and not pay attention to what's going on in society and be who they are and recognize the queen within themselves?
Okay, the only way I feel like you can teach someone love is showing them love, because the only way a person learns anything is by seeing it. You know, that whole crap that parents say, like, do as I say, not as I do, is bullshit. Because you can sit there and say, not do it, but they're going to pick up habits, period. So in order for your children to love themselves, you have to show them love. Because in order for them to understand what it is, they have to experience it. So I show my daughters love every day. So when they stare in the mirror or they sitting there saying, oh, you know, Mom, you know, this ain't cute, or so-and-so said this, and I'm like, girl, you look good, girl, they just mad. You fine, girl. That's what I tell my girls. I tell them I love them. I give them kisses good night. I just let them know. You know, and another thing, that it can't just stop with the mom. It can't just stop with the mother. The dad got to show his daughters their
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that.
Right.
to be
That's
loved.
why we get in a lot of bad relationships.
And I think that's extremely important because that whole crap with, those single parents, those single women, and those single women who are doing it, my hat off to you because that's just hard. I know how it is. I've been there. I've done that. I got the t-shirt. But at the end of the day, a woman cannot be a man. You see what I'm saying? So in order for a child to know what it is to be loved, it has to start with their father.
Right, you're right.
I agree.
As far as the relationship,
Especially a girl.
I could show them, right. I could show them with a woman's perspective, this is how love feels, and this is how, whatnot. But a man needs to show their daughter, this is what love is, this is what self-worth is, this is how a man should treat you, this is how you feel.
Right.
Like I said, this stems from childhood. This stems from your self-worth and as you grow up. And a lot of us don't have that. I mean, I'm going to speak for myself, but I didn't have it. I didn't have none of that. So I have to learn, and mind you, I'm still struggling. Like she said, I'm listening to her, she said, we step in the mirror and we have to question ourselves, we still doubt ourselves. And that's because not only do we have our own issues, but we got these outside individuals, who always have something to say or are dictating, they're trying to dictate how you should feel about yourself. But, and that's why I'm saying, all how these dudes stick together and down each other's backs, like, oh, dude, you look good, you look this, and constantly encouraging each other.
Well, I don't think no dude or tell his homeboy, yo, you look good.
Yeah.
Nah. Yo, that shirt is alright, yeah, you straight.
Well, I think for men, it's different because we more truthful with each other when we, like, if we see our friend or brother or whoever dress a certain way, we gonna tell you, yo, you look crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Women, y'all take it differently. If your friend or sister
No,
or
we don't. If I go out somewhere, first of all, when I go out anywhere, and I see everybody in the group looks decent, and you got that one friend that she got the dress on with the bra strap showing and the track is showing, and she with a group of friends. No, I don't. She's not my friend. But what I'm saying is, those aren't her friends. Because if you're in a group of people and everybody looks to par, and then you missed the mark, they should have stopped you at the gate.
So how?
But to what she's saying is, we gotta encourage each other because. She didn't step out with me, she stepped out with them, but they let her go out like that. So now, if I say something while she's already out with the people who allowed her to go out like that, I look like I'm hating.
Yeah, and that's the conflict of interest because
we in a group of girls, and I don't really mess with you like that. But I'm like, dang, they bogus to let her go out like that.
Right.
I probably wouldn't say something. And I probably wouldn't. And the reason for that alone is, she probably would think I was hating.
Right.
But I think that just goes with character. You know what I mean? If you know I'm the type of character that is going to keep it honest with you, I feel like you should know that, hey, whatever I say is genuine. But if they don't know you like that, then you shouldn't say anything. I mean, but there's two different things. If a chick comes out and she was bogus as all get out, but she feels great, I probably won't say anything. If she just thinks herself and talks, I feel so good, I'm not going to say anything because you know what? You loving your girl. You loving it.
Would you agree?
Now, if you got a city hanging out or something like that, I don't care if we friends or not, but girl, you ain't going to do that with me.
Nicola.
We'll be right back in there.
Nicola.
Yeah.
Would you agree that social media has a lot to do with it too? Like, so even if you're the woman who wouldn't necessarily say anything because you're the outside party and you're not part of the group, would you agree that most people will pop their phone out and video a Snapchat or something, and next thing you know, she's viral looking a hot mess? So I mean, that helps to kind of kill someone's self-worth as well, and we see a lot of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's breaking the internet nowadays.
Every day, that's why you gotta go out looking. You gotta feel like you at your 100%. Yeah, and again, like I said, it just all depends. Like if we all went back to day one first, okay? And we talk about how we feel about ourselves as queens, as women. I feel like at the end of the day, it's really hard to love one of us. Women in particular. If we're talking about queens, I'm gonna say this specifically because as women, we are taught from birth that we are men are superior. That we are to they're the ones that can play sports better, or they're this better than you, or we're taught that we have to be pretty, we have to be on point, we have to have our legs shaved, we have to do this, or we ugly, or we obese, or we Sasquatch, or we this or we that. You don't hear that from men. I mean, a man can have like a hairy face and no one says anything. Like, it's just who he is. But a woman, we have to be on 10, 24/7. And that's what I'm saying. When we need to start like stepping in. Like, if I see a woman getting attacked and I feel like she feels confident, I think she should step in and be like, nah, why? I mean, you hate because she looks good. Like, why are you talking her like that? You see what I'm saying? I just feel like as women we should come together and be like back off, get 10 feet, because again, we are programmed, and this is what I truly believe, as from infancy to little girls, that we have to be this kind of way and we have to be that. And men are too, but men are like, oh, you don't play sports, you're not manly, you're not this. But for women, it's our appearance. Everything is about our appearance. Everything. And I think that's sad. I think that's sad because you should value what's inside of me. You should look at me and say, you should look all past that and say, what's inside of her? Like, what's her knowledge like? What does she know? Who is she? But instead, and don't get me wrong, do I think physical attraction is important? Yes. But I don't think that should be the one and only thing. I think you should be able to look past that and learn somebody. I don't feel like we have to be on 10, 24/7. But that's the case. The case is let me go out with my clothes looking crushed. And they don't even got to be crushed. They have lotion on them. They can be lotioned up, looking cute. They just don't got the polish. And I'm going to get clowned. It's going to be like, no, she didn't leave those claws out like that. Or no, she didn't. Because we always have to come out looking 100. So it shouldn't be that way. It should be that, should we clean ourselves? Yes.
I agree with you to a certain extent. Other than just the physical attributes, there gotta be more that a woman brings to the table, show her intellect and a sense of humor and certain things like that, But we definitely appreciate your call,
Thank you, Nicola.
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so what you think about that?
I think that that is a part of it, but I think that there's a whole lot more that goes into it. Like, you have to work on what your strengths are, what your goals are. You have to, like she said, with the whole daddy issue, that is a topic that is kind of weighed equally between male and women, because if your daddy wasn't taught how to treat a woman, he can't teach his daughter how to be treated by a man. So, that's something that, yes, you do want that, and that should be a goal. Like I said, we're bringing back the whole family dynamic. But in that meantime, and standing in the gap, as most women have to do, like, you still have to find that footing for yourself. So that is hard. You do got to stand in the mirror and, love you and all of that. But in terms of appearance, when she was saying, we got to be on 10 all the time, like, who determines what that is? Because for me, 10 is not having my boobies out and my booty out all the time. Not all the time, though. Majority rule is that you're supposed to have like the shortest dress on and the highest heel in the club.
Right, but that's what she was saying, that's the social ills of society saying that y'all supposed to look a certain way.
Right. So you gotta we gotta break that. We have to break that.
Definitely.
We do need.
But it seemed like you need to break it. But it seemed like more and more.
So what are some ways that as far as women, y'all can come or pass this knowledge on or help each other out to recognize this self-appreciation, or recognize that you're already a queen and have this in you to let it shine bright, let it shine out, and just be you?
Well, I do feel like we are queens. But I think that just like with breaking a habit, they say 21 days to break a habit? Mm-hmm. You gotta 21 days to build a habit. So keep telling yourself you're a queen. Even if you don't feel that wholeheartedly yet, keep telling yourself that. The more that you embed that in your mind, the more that your everything starts to align like that. You start to, dress different. Your walk is different. Your talk is different. You start to believe that. So when you carry yourself a different way, if I carry myself like a queen, a scrub can't come and talk to me any kind of way, or hey mama, what's up, or let's Netflix and chill, because no, I want more than that. You know what I mean? And that's not to say I want lobster tails or whatever the new big date is now. You know what I mean? It could be a romantic night in the park. It could be, there's so many different things that you can do. But the thing is that I want that. I might not get the fairy tale, but let's aim for it.
So you don't want the Mr. Childs and expensive dates and stuff like that?
Oh no, I do. But what I'm saying is that there's a wider variety. You know what I mean? So I think
so
that.
You said I do.
No, I do. Don't get me wrong. I do. Oh, I do.
So you like to be wanted done, but doesn't matter But does it matter if it's a high price stuff versus expensive
but in terms of realizing the queen within, right? The queen in you. A lot of women are okay with men doing the mediocre. So if a man doesn't have to do anything to get in your pants or to be in your presence and get around you. What do you mean? If there's
a lot of celebrities, they know they make that money.
You have some
A-list celebrities
that are dealing with C-list rappers. I mean,
really?
You do.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if we'll find another J&B. I don't know.
Okay.
And I don't know if we'll find another couple like that.
But you have females that mess with C-list rappers, really?
Yeah, there's people that are out of comparison all the time. I don't want to start naming names and offend anybody, but yes, there are. There are.
I want you to name names, but I don't need you to keep me abreast of what's going on.
No, but there are. But when you hold yourself to a certain standard, I mean, when you hold yourself to a certain standard, you get to pick and choose who you want to date. You know what I mean?
Right.
And anybody can't date you. Like, I'm told a lot of times that I'm intimidating. I don't try to be intimidating, but I know what I want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know what I feel like I deserve. So I know what I give out.
You have people tell you that you're intimidating?
Yeah.
This is men, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Told you that you're intimidating? Mm-hmm. And what will make them so intimidated by you?
I mean, I've heard a number of different things.
Really?
I've heard people say that I seem a little standoffish. I've heard people say that I seem like I'm doing so much and I never have time to people will tell me all the time, well, why don't you take a break from doing business? Why don't you take a break from doing that? Like, I have a goal. Right. So, and that's another thing too, in terms of, realizing the queen in you, like, with that.
So not to cut you off, but I'm cutting you off, but so those type of guys that you say those things, in my opinion, I mean, they missing something themselves.
Exactly, and that's why it doesn't offend me, because that means that you're just either you're not ready for the type of woman that I am, or you're not here. So and that's another thing too. Like, you have to find somebody that you have to be equally yoked. Right, you guys have to have a balance. So that's.
But you're not gonna find nobody that's like you.
Not exactly like you know.
Exactly.
No.
You wouldn't like that because you know how you are. So that's why opposites attract. Like magnets.
Well, you gotta be as equally opposite.
I mean, it ain't no such thing. Equally opposite. He gonna probably do some things that you like, other than the sex or whatever is the personality that will draw you in as well, right? Or would it just be sex?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's even the whole opposites attract, because for me, it's not the opposite attract. Because if I don't like something, you do something, like, that's opposite. That's not gonna work for me. I think we have to be similar in certain aspects, like, you know what I mean? Like, even in terms of this quote unquote staying woke, like, if I research my history and I speak on certain topics and, I like to discuss certain things in intellectual conversations, and I can't have that with you, then this not gonna work that long.
Right,
you know what I mean? So it's similarities. We may not be on the same level. There might be things you could teach me and things that I could teach you in terms of that, but, like, for me, the whole opposites attract, like, that has never really worked for me.
I think it also stems to your definition of the term of queen, or for men, king, and knowing what that definition is for yourself and how do you go about accomplishing that aura within that definition. You know what I'm saying? Like, any woman can say they're a queen, but really don't have a clue of what it takes to be a queen, or live like a queen, or treat themselves like a queen. You know what I'm saying? So, in the same aspect, a man, it goes the same way. A man may have his idea of what his queen is and what his queen should be. You You know what I'm saying? So if it's not communicated or they don't have that same understanding, it's hard. And it's hard for the man to get what he wants out of the woman, and it's hard for the woman to just be who she is and live up to her standards and statures, like how you say you do. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, and you're right, and it all does come to distinguishing what it is that you want and what they want. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like that's something that should be discussed in the beginning. So, I mean, that's just me. I want to put it all on the table in the beginning. So, before we continue to waste each other's time, we already know what it is. Because if there's something that you want within the next 5 or 6 months, and it's something that I want within the next 3 to 5 years, you know what I mean? I think that it would be good to know beforehand than going all the way down the line. But in terms of king and a queen, like for me, a king and a queen, what do they do together? They rule and govern. They help people. They you know like.
Well, that's the key thing that you just said, that they rule together.
Yeah,
So
right.
it gotta be some cohesionness. It can't be lopsided or the woman want this much percentage or that much percentage. Everybody always say in a relationship 50-50, but
It's not.
yeah,
It's not.
9 times out of 10 it's not always 50-50. It might
But I don't
be
feel like it
70-30,
should
it might
be
be 40-60, yeah.
I don't feel like it should
Because
be.
somebody gonna love more than the other, and somebody gonna
Always.
bring something to the table.
Always.
And do more
You
than
can right.
the
You
other.
can never.
You know what I mean?
You can never make someone love you as much as they love them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also hard to gauge how much someone loves you. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you I love you with my whole heart, and you can tell me that too. But you can really be like, she all right, but you know she ain't good for me. I'm gonna cut her off. But you say you love me. You know what I mean? So that's something that I think that for me, you can tell me love me all day, but I want you to show me. But in terms of being,
Actions speak louder than words.
of course, and I think that that's what it has a lot to do with that too. Like if you say that I'm your queen, like me, I'm big on having doors open, and that sounds really simple, but like that's a gentleman thing to do. For one, and for two, it makes me feel like I'm always protected. Because if you open your car door and you get in the car, and then I get kidnapped on the other side with my door closed, you know what I mean? Like you didn't, seriously,
Well,
you
that's
tell me,
just-
but it's serious.
That's hypothetical.
No,
fairy tale
but you
stuff
never.
you
No.
think, because
If
If you with a man, what's the odds of that happening? Like when I never heard of that happening.
No.
Listen, I never heard of that happening. Whether the man is inside the car or he's not in the car.
But you gotta think of
they
you
go
gotta
on
think
a
of
date.
everything.
They go
Growing
on
up-
a date, and he doesn't open the door for the woman.
Right, but listen.
And somebody jump
Right,
out and
but
snatch
listen,
her
it
up.
all goes back.
That means he thirsty.
of all,
He
listen.
thirsty.
First of all, that was
He
an
thirsty.
example.
Yeah.
Secondly, I can go off of what I saw growing up. So if I see my grandparents doing things a certain way, then I'm gonna feel like, okay,
That's how
well
it's
this is
supposed
what.
to be
Yes.
done. Right.
So in my mind, that's what's supposed to be like. You shouldn't be walking about a whole mile ahead of me and we going to the same spot. Because if anything happens to me, how would you know? And if you did turn around and see, how soon could you get to me before? You know what I mean?
Well, that's
I mean, it
different,
sounds
but
simple, but
you're
those
talking
are
about,
big
okay,
things.
that's
No, but
part-
my thing is this. It also builds intimacy too. Because if you show me that you care for me and you will protect me, then when I feel protected, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for you.
So you feel protected when the guy opened the door for you? For real?
I do. That's one thing that makes me feel protected, but yeah, I do.
That's the first time
I do.
heard
It makes
that
you feel
before.
protected. It makes you
I
feel
didn't think that was
cared
such a
for.
big deal.
No, it is. It is.
You know, I see people do it. You know, brothers do it all the time. You know, when I'm out and about. And I'm
Do you
like,
do
okay.
it?
Nah, I don't.
Why? Because you
Because
never
her
taught
arm
that,
is
or you
not
just don't
broken.
feel. See?
That's why I don't. You know what I'm saying? Now look, I could be a person with chivalry, yeah. Open the door for you and this and that. We go in restaurants. Nah, not a problem. You know, I rub your feet up. Not a problem. But
do you have
if
to be
I'm coming
told
out
to
the
do those
restaurant
things?
and you coming out just like me, I'm not opening your passenger door. You open yourself.
No.
Yeah, I'm not opening your
My
passenger door.
ex, listen, if I opened the door, before he got to it, he would close the door back just so he could open it for me.
To make sure you're safe and secure, right? Then why he had it?
Because he was taught that. He was raised
That's
that
what you
way.
like, right?
He was raised that way. That is what I like. That's what I have grown accustomed to. That's what makes me feel secure. When I feel like you care about me genuinely and there's nothing you would not do for me to make sure that I felt safe and secure, then I'm gonna do the same for you. With women, we're not that hard. We want stability.
No, y'all are hard.
We're not that hard.
No.
There's little
Women,
intricacies.
y'all the most difficult women and people
There's
in
little
the world.
intricacies, but we have.
A man is the most simple person in the world.
We're the more simple.
You know what I'm saying? And y'all
We
know
are
that.
more complex,
Y'all know
yes, but we still have, certain things where if you hit those marks, you can kind of dibble off a little bit. But
Because you can make a woman happy.
y'all just be like, you know what, this is too much, you don't get nothing.
You got me?
Yeah, but you're right. But the thing is, in those situations, should you be satisfied? When you're satisfied, you become stagnant.
But
just
the man
like how
have to
you
be
dated,
satisfied too, right?
Yes, but that's what I'm telling you. Just like how you date a woman to get her in the beginning, you have to continue to date her when you're with her.
Right, keep it flavorful.
Exactly.
Keep the spark flying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you're good. Because we're
But that doesn't last that
continuing to
long.
build intimacy as we go. It does if you don't stray away. Not only that, you make that woman feel like she is,
She
right,
is.
exactly,
That's it.
exactly. So you're building her confidence as well.
Which lead back to self-appreciation, I guess.
Right. And then now you set the bar because after you, if y'all don't work out, nobody can come and show her less. Because now she knows, okay, well, even if he wasn't the best dude in the world, even if he wasn't the best in the world, now everybody else has to at least match up to him or be better.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And that's kind of far-fetched, especially if you know the guy that you are and what your capabilities are and what you've been doing while you was in this relationship or marriage, whatever it is, and then y'all go astray. That might be some hard shoes to follow for her. See, and men, we simple. We probably fall back and have our mind on our business and focus on what we're doing, and then after that, a couple months or weeks or month or two, then we be like, oh, let me politic with her. And just to see, some might say, oh, let me just get it for the cure rate, right? And some might just say, oh, let me politic with her to see what her personality is at. Because when you get older, and everything is not about sex.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
In your old age, all you got is conversation. So if you haven't built on that in the beginning, then you have nothing to work towards.
Right. And like you said, at times, just like you want a man to have an intellectual conversation, men want women to have an intellectual conversation.
Right.
You don't want to have no female talking about all them TV shows, hip hop this, housewife this.
But
talk about your goals. Talk about where you want to travel.
But through those conversations, though, the love of hip hop constantly and all this stuff constantly, you should know or be able to pick up that, okay, this is not the woman for me.
Right.
Because you can't be 6-7 months down the line talking about I'm trying to have an intellectual conversation with you and we can't have a conversation. You're right, we can't have a conversation. Because I never had these type of conversations. Now you want to bring it up 6-7 months down the line and this is not what I do. You know what I mean? So you have to, so you have to have those type of conversations and, all that stuff. Like people be talking about, I don't want to do no park walk and this and the other. I love to do that. Take me on that for the first date. I don't even, because if we can't have
so you came across guys that don't do that or don't like to do that?
I have met guys who, you know what? I met a guy that tried to talk to me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta hang out. You seem really cool and all your stuff, blah blah blah." So he was like, why don't we? He's like, we gotta hang out, blah blah blah. He sounded like he talked a good game. And we've been waiting to talk for like a month and a half, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you my address. No, you're not. No, you're not. Like that's not the first time. No, I don't do Netflix with each other first time. We gotta be able to have a conversation. If I'm in your intimate space, there's no way that we're gonna have.
A month and a half, all that time. What took so long?
Yeah.
That should have been meeting and talking. Yeah.
My ex waited about 5 months before we ever even was intimate with each other.
Yeah, right? Yeah, but it still goes on the line of self-appreciation.
It does.
Because a woman gotta appreciate themselves in every facet.
And so what we're doing is so what we're talking about is with how our parents, the way that women treat women, and the way that men treat women as well. All of that factors into that.
Just in case y'all want to know, Y'all now tuned in to Rich Already podcast. We talking about self-appreciation, recognizing of the queen in you. It doesn't matter what ethnicities you are, but we, kind of just put the focal point on our sisters, our Nubian queens, you know what I'm saying? But if you German, Chinese, Black, Ethiopian, whatever it is, you want to call in, chime in. The number is 347-989-8448. All right, we here.
I think that one issue that we have as well is that with this whole gender inequality thing, like women, we feel like we have to be the man and the woman. So we're.
But how does that work out? Like I don't really like hearing.
Let me explain. Let me explain.
Feel like they gotta be the man and the woman.
Yes, let me explain. What y'all wasn't have social media. You wasn't have social media.
Yeah,
Do you not see on Father's Day all the mothers saying Happy Father's Day to me? Like this is a.
And
I don't see that. And I think that's
I see it, but I think it's stupid because
so
I think that's a mindset too, though. Like I think that's just
but what I'm saying,
I think that's just bitter woman that's mad because they found out that they were weekend pussy and got pregnant. And now they got a kid, and now they telling their kids they grow up, forget your father, he da-da-da-da, because he a sperm donor. But everybody should know their position, know your place.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. But I wasn't gonna take it there and leave it there though. I was going somewhere with it. So you have that, then you have the women that gotta work a full-time job or 2 or 3 full-time jobs to pay all their bills, and then you have the dude coming talking about, you gotta find time to hang out and chill. Like, I can't, because I have all this stuff that I have to do. So we're so stuck in what we have to do, having to take care of everything alone, that when a man comes along, even if he wants to help, it's like you're so stuck in doing it yourself, it's hard to relinquish and just be like, okay, you know what, fine, you can just do this, or you can come over, or we can, you know what I mean? So I think that that's something that you also have to learn, because that has a lot to do with realizing the queen in you too, because if you don't, on this journey of self-love, recognize the love that we have to have for the opposite sex, then...
All right, keep in mind, right, once a man gets married, right? So obviously, if he chose to propose to you or take that, that initiative to get married, then obviously he already see the queen in you, because he is the king. And every king eventually needs a queen on their side, right or wrong. Right, but
the man that sees the queen in the woman, is he going to see that in a woman who doesn't see the king in him? Because if she's not allowing it,
but see,
the king should see the king in him. If he don't, then you don't need to be with him.
Right, but we talking about that journey of getting there. Right, we talking about that journey of getting there. She has to be there.
A queen is going to be a queen with her king and recognize that her man is a king and step out of the way and let him be what he needs to be.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
And that's right, but that's what I'm saying, that we have to get to that point as well, because I know that, for me, I compromise a lot in relationships, but it is hard for me to do that. But I know that if I don't, then, my father has been around my whole entire life, but my mother was a single parent. We all lived in her household. My father lived 5 minutes away from us my whole entire life, so I always had mommy and daddy. You know what I mean? I was never one of the kids that be like, well, I never had my dad around. Like, I always had my mother and my father, just not in the same household.
Wow.
So, I did have the love of my father. I did understand that. I did, I was loved. So, I won't say that I had that issue, but
a lot of women
but with not having them in the same household, I can't say that I have to skip them and go to my grandparents, like, okay, well, this is how I think a man should treat a woman. You know what I mean? Instead of having direct contact with that in my household. So I think that that's hard for a lot of women to deal with.
So you saying that it's been in your household where you've seen how is a man supposed to treat a woman, or no?
No, my grandparents.
Yeah, you've seen it from your grandparents.
Yes.
So they obviously were married and been together for a while. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, at least you have that to go off of,
80, yeah.
Because a lot of men and women don't have even that to go off.
Right,
you might have a TV
but that's
show,
what I'm saying.
Or some cousins maybe, or whatever. When you get married, sometimes you shoot from the hip, but you learn from trial and error. Now, if you've been married X amount of years, 5+ years, and one person is not learning from the other, then it's time to just throw the towel in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But look, even with that, you gotta dig deep within to even find that. If you didn't have it in your household, at least back in the day, you could watch it on a Cosby Show or watch it on, you know what I mean? We don't really have those no more. Because even the family shows that we have, the man and the woman are always divorced but live a house or so apart, or the father's always at the mother house, but they're not actively in a marriage. You know what I mean? So even in TV and television, what they televise and portray in front of our eyes is still broken homes. So that's gonna take some digging. Not looking to none of what we see right now is what it should be.
Right. So with that being said, you put me in the mind of bringing it to the like I said before, the hip hop and all them different TV shows. I call it buffoonery, they call it reality. Okay, you have attractive sisters on these shows. Weave or not, they attractive sisters, but what makes them ugly is the attitude and what they're on there doing. You fighting over a man. So how does that appreciate their queen and them? And a lot of them have kids, a daughter, a son, whoever, they got kids. What is that? You know what I'm saying? Showing their kids, and how is that showing the queen and them?
But that's what I'm saying. You have to strip away everything that you have. First of all, you have to accept that what you were taught was not right. You have to first accept that. Then you have to learn how to unlearn everything that you learned and be willing to dig deep and go find what your truth is. Because just like you're talking about those things that are portrayed on these shows, like that's what's making World Star so popular right now. All you see is a bunch of fights and, oh, you got my man, da da da. You sent him a text message and they fighting and tussling all through the grass.
And that's not a representation of a queen.
It's not.
To me, in my opinion,
it's
I don't know about anybody else.
It's not. But that's what if you step in on somebody's shoe in a club, they're ready to fight or shoot you or something. Right. You know what I mean? But we have to. There's so much work needs to be done, not just with women, but with the black community, period.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I feel like it all has to be done interchangeably. We gotta work on each other together, and together is where we're gonna make change. I gotta build you up, you gotta build him up, and vice versa. It gotta be, you know what I mean? It has to be a circle. We gotta all do this together. I can say I love me, and I can love me wholeheartedly. That don't mean I love you.
But it starts from the woman. You know what I'm saying? Because heterosexual men, they look towards the woman as far as appearance, and then once they say, "Hey, how you doing?"
No,
and you open your mouth. Listen, you open your mouth, and once blah 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 come out to a person or a man, that might be self-assertive or have some type of business about class about himself. You know what I'm saying? A stand-up guy. That's what he's looking for. He's not looking for, all right, he see your appearance, so that prompts him to speak to you. But now, his main thing is your intellectual. It might not be just a sex thing. You can get sex anywhere. The women, y'all outnumber us everywhere. Every city, every state. That's something simple now when you grow up and get older and mature. But now it's about the conversation and the personality that the female is dealing with. Because if she an airhead, how am I keep a conversation with her?
But you don't think that you can tell she's an airhead when you meet her?
Huh? You can tell right then and there.
Right, yeah. So if you get her number and pursue anything further with her, then you already know. You set yourself up. That's
but
like
when you do that,
that's like
you know how to play it. You set yourself up for the kill rate instead of dealing with her.
We were talking about the baby mama and knowing your role, this and the other, whatever, right? But when the man identifies with the woman or decides that he want to talk to her and get her number or whatever, you already knew what type of woman that she was, so you was just building her up to be just that. So that's not helping or empowering her.
But sometimes you might want to help. Sometimes you're right. You might know, the guy might know.
You can't want to help if you don't want to be.
But you're trying to
first of all, if you
not change her so much.
First of all, the biggest
bring her
thing,
to the light and enlighten her.
The biggest thing that I hear men say was, that's a baby mama, but it wasn't planned, or it just happened, or it just like, come on now. You just happened to just slide up in there with no glove and just have a baby. No, I don't believe that.
First of all,
you know what you're doing. And then at the same time, how is that empowering her?
Why it don't happen? Why it doesn't happen? First of all, let me stop you in your tracks, right? When a man has sex with a woman that first time he had sex with her, brothers don't know how, you know what I'm saying, the idea of whether it's supposedly good or bad or what. Alright? Some dudes might get in, blow early, some dudes might get in ahead of their business. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, put a cap on it. Put a cap on it. If y'all ain't in no serious relationship and you haven't determined in your mind that you want to be with her, put a cap on it. Because if you don't want to be with her, you're just no way you can build her up.
Appreciation.
You can't build. You can't
for herself. She gonna make sure she has the type of contraceptive.
Right. So if and if she don't. Right, you're right. But see, women, we believe that we're in something more than the man do. A man might tell us that, but he don't feel that. Like, we're in it by ourselves or whatever.
And
so at the end of the day, I'm confident, and I'm confident, like, this is my man, but I can't post you on social network.
But
I
you said put a cap on it.
You know what I mean?
So, you might have a good small percentage of women that walk around and with condoms in their purse.
Yeah, but I gotta put that one on y'all.
But then some people will think, why?
No, I gotta put that one on y'all.
Why?
Because y'all are building to this whole angry woman theory. Like, there's no way you can build up your baby mama. Like, you done turned her into baby mama now. So now she feel like she gotta be mommy and daddy.
A man can't turn a woman into an angry woman. She was already conditioned that way.
Not only is she misrepresenting herself as a queen, she thinks she a king too.
Right, and that's a fallacy. A man can't make a woman turn into an angry woman. He's just being himself.
No, he's not.
Listen, a lot of women that got pregnant and he found out that these dudes are sperm donors, he was low life before you got pregnant for him.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
You're right, and it goes both ways, but
you just mentioned it goes both ways. Because the guy should know, if he can't keep an intellectual conversation, he know, damn, I'm going to just keep this on the kill rate. We know the balance now. All right, I don't really like her personality, but she look attractive, I'm going to smash it and keep it moving. I like her personality. Let me see what more I can do and go with this. That's the difference. So vice versa, a woman know if she dealing with some low life dude or she dealing with a dude that got capabilities to be a real man.
That being a queen and having that self appreciation, you're gonna be able to decipher that all.
And that's discernment, right? You're right.
And if you end up having to be a baby mother, you should have that strength to be like, okay, him saying this or doing that is not. I'm not letting that break me down. I'm still gonna strive on.
And that takes a lot of That takes a lot of strength. Again, hats off to all the single mothers, because I've done hit my 30s. I won't say how far along in my 30s. I don't have children. I have my puppy. That's my baby. So hats off to single mothers. I've had to help raise sisters and stuff, but I haven't raised a child, so I don't know. I haven't pushed anything out. Hats on y'all are very strong. But, I think, just like you said, like, yes, of course, you got a lot of single mothers that are queens. That takes a lot of strength and a lot of self-searching and looking within yourself and all of that, too. Because without that and doing it by yourself, it's double
the
difficulty level as it is with...
But a queen who's doing that on her own is not going to discern the man that's not helping either. Are they? Would they?
What do you mean?
Like, she's not gonna discredit if I go and have a baby with somebody and I don't want nothing to do with them after the baby born, I'm not in the child life, whatever the case, that woman, her being a queen, is not going to discredit a man and talk to her friends or her peers or siblings and try to tear him down for not being what he needs to be. Correct?
Maybe not after the first few years, but
maybe.
No, because that's gonna take a lot to deal with too. That's a hit to anybody.
That's a hit to anybody. I hear it a lot.
But you do have, one thing. My father has multiple children, and I have 11 sisters. I have one brother that God rest his soul.
So your father
my mother,
Jamaican.
Both my parents are Jamaican. Yeah, done already. Don't get me started. But anyways, so. Growing up, and I commend my mother for that, because my mother never told us you can never meet your siblings or you can't, you know what I mean? Like, she made sure that we all knew each other. She was cool with the moms, like, and I've never seen that, because all I hear is of this baby mother and that baby mother weren't, and this and the other. So that was different for me. So like I'm saying, I grew up a little differently. yes, we
Your mama
struggled,
knew
but
it,
I
like, she
didn't
wanted
know.
from jump.
You're right, and that's what, and she instilled that in her daughters. And the thing is that yes, we struggled growing up, but I never knew. I didn't know a struggle. If I wanted something, I had it. If I wanted to act, model, jazz, tap, kid, well, we did all of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
So it does, and she was a strong woman. So losing her son, that took a lot out of her, and as it would any parent. But the way that we was raised, like my mother instilled that in us from we were little. So just like, the caller earlier had said that, what she tries to instill in her children, like it does start at home. Most of our learning and growing starts at home.
Right, yeah, definitely. So, see, that's the whole thing I think about, because when you said they not in the household together, but you still know who your siblings are. So, even still, sometimes it just depends on the individual, I guess, that when they want to make it tight with that specific person, man or woman, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but that comes with a lot of self-confidence and loving yourself. Because if you don't love yourself enough to know that ain't
You gotta love
a threat,
yourself first.
Exactly. But there's a lot of women that do that, co-parent effectively.
There's a lot of women that co-parent effectively.
Yeah, you have a lot of baby mamas out there that hold the child for ransom, and you can't see my kid, this and the other. But they have a lot
bitter,
of
they mad.
exactly,
Yeah.
and being bitter and angry and mad means that you have a lot of issues within yourself that you still have to deal with. So it isn't until you deal with all of that and you have that confidence and that queendom that you can be okay with that, because you know that it's not about me, it's about my child. So I got me together, let me go ahead and get them together so I can build her up even stronger than I.
So how does the woman build themselves up as far as self-esteem without catering or having a man or being in a relationship with a man?
That's why I told you, you gotta look and tell yourself all the time. You tell yourself
How
something.
beautiful you are.
You tell yourself something enough, you start to believe it. With hypnosis, they tell you
Change
something
your ways,
over and over and over in
the
such a
experiences
monotone
you
voice
had.
that it starts to go in your psyche, and you start to believe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to teach yourself these things. Not everything that is taught to you is right, and not everything that you're gonna teach yourself, you may not find out the truth in the very first time, but you have to be actively searching and seeking. If you want better, you will do better. And the more that you do better, the more you start to believe that. And the more that you believe that, the more that you are.
So let me ask this: would a queen or a woman who appreciate themselves the way they do and see themselves in a certain light, would that woman date several men?
I don't feel and I can't speak for all women on this, but my personal opinion, I don't feel like you can really get to know more than one person at one time. Like I feel like if I find somebody that I want to talk to, then I'm gonna put time into trying to get to know you. And if it don't work out, then cool. But if I have you and someone else and I'm trying to get to know all of y'all, see where it can go, I can't spread my time evenly between getting to know you, getting to know him, and getting to know him. That's just my thoughts. But I don't feel like that would be effective. So for some people it works, but for the people that do that, I feel like you may have one out of that bunch that you actually want to have a relationship with, one that's good for sex, one that might be good, help you on a bill when you're short or something. Like you have somebody just for every different thing. But I think that it also depends on your mind frame and where you are. And no, I don't feel like, I think that when you are where you are within yourself and you know what you want and where you want to be, then you're striving for that, you're looking for that. So being with multiple men for the rest of your life is not something you're looking for. So if you're actively looking for something and you're here and you want to find a man that's here.
So does that not make you a queen or appreciate yourself if you are in that realm of life, like dating several men, or like you said, for one
you
for
can
the
still
sex,
appreciate yourself, but I still think that you got some kinks that you got a few kinks you got to work through though. You got a few kinks that you got to work through. That's part of our problem. See, we're so caught up in this whole dating thing that marriage doesn't come out of dating that much anymore. And it's because we're dating so many multiple people. You know what I mean? Like y'all can go through each other's phone right now and you may find one common number. I don't know, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, like, that's how common it has become. You know what I mean? If I stop talking to somebody today, I might see him walking down the street with somebody that I know, may not know, talking to them actively right now, but maybe knew him a few years ago or something like that. Like, it's not even that the world is so small. It's like that's how popular dating is. Everybody's dating multiple people at one time versus taking the time to get to actually know somebody and see where it can go and build. Like, I know what I want. I feel like I'm a queen. I want to build my kingdom. I want to build my empire. I know that I want a king, and I know what level I want him to be at. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to take anything subpar or less than that because that's what I want.
So you know what type of guys you like?
Yes, I do.
What type of guys you like?
I ain't going to disclose that.
Nah,
My mama said, you never tell a
mean?
man what you want in a man because then you will never get that real man. You get his representative.
I believe that.
I don't believe that.
I believe that.
No, it's true.
That's true. I believe it takes the time for them to show you. You know what I'm saying? And it goes for women too. You don't tell a man shouldn't tell a female what type of woman he like because, like you said, that's just a
I don't believe that
take that time to show them
going to be
and figure it out.
Be their real self. A person, whether you tell them or not, a person should still.
They should,
No,
but
that's not true.
they don't
That's
always
not
pan
true.
out.
That's not
And that's the person you
That's not
just
true.
know
If you
what level
think
you need to keep it
if
on.
you're like, damn, she's so fine, oh my gosh, and you know, like she carries herself a certain way, and she tells you, well, this is what I want. You got to be this, that, and that to talk to me. Then you're gonna be this, that, and that to talk to her for as long as it takes to
No, you
get
tell her,
it,
all right,
and then you
well,
bounce.
Yeah, you ain't gotta talk to her. You keep it moving.
That's that Bronx mentality, because everybody don't do. They're not doing that.
Why you gotta define it to a certain location, man? You know.
Because
why you got?
because it does depend. Because people from the top,
from the Bronx,
they
New
deal
York,
with
shit
things so
happens.
different than people from the south.
What you said?
People from up top. I feel like, and this is just my opinion, I feel like a lot of people from New York carry themselves with different type of confidence than people from the south.
Yeah, I think
They do.
people
When I lived
from
in
the
New
South,
York,
a lot
I
of
mean-
females in the South is crazy.
When I lived in New York helped me get on my shit. Like when I was in New York, I mean everybody was like, you know,
That
just-
helped change.
so
the
I had
mentality.
to be that too. Even if I didn't feel like that day, I had to get up and just be like, you know, hey, how are you? How are you? Everything's so fast paced and this, that, and the other. Oh, what do you do? Well, actually, I do this, that, this, all kind of shit. Hop on the train 15 times a day. Like it made me become more active, and the more active I became, the more shit I had to do, the more stuff I had to do, the more I had to proclaim it, the more I had to proclaim it, the more I had to believe it, the more I had to believe it, the more I had to be it. You know what I mean?
So they put the spot the fire in your back and pump ambition in you, huh?
It did. It did. And you know
so
what?
it brought the queen out in you.
You
is
know
that
what?
you're saying?
That might be what it takes to actually drive that. But that's what we might need to level up on that. You know what I mean? Because when you ambition is drive. You know what I mean? So without that, you ain't gonna want to go soul searching or change anything. Like you gotta have like that's it. That's it right there.
You're right. Like the core of it, ambition, having that purpose. You know, that
Right.
desire to want something or be something or
That
say
valor.
something. Yeah. That's true. That's true indeed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So-
High five to you.
Oh, so man.
Yeah, I thought that let me hang out. I was waiting to see.
Ah, man.
So ambition is a prominent key.
I think it's a key factor.
Having that self-appreciation and being a queen and showing that queendom.
And setting standards. When you set standards for me, you have to set standards yourself. I can't tell you, I have to be that which, and that's another thing too, being that which you seek. I can't tell you that I want this, that, and this, and I'm just, you know, I want a man that has 6 figures, but I'm gonna lay at home all day and not do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
gotta
So
bring
you
something
have to,
the
right.
table,
You
yeah.
gotta help
Right.
out something. You gotta help.
Because even if you fake it till you
gotta-
make it, at some point you're gonna have to show something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it forces
I hear people say that. I don't know what that means.
Fake it till you make it.
I ain't know fake nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just me. I'm in the flesh. I give it to you.
Well,
raw, uncut.
I think that
Yeah.
what they're saying is, you know, if you tell yourself something enough times, you're gonna strive to be that. Once you strive to be that, you become that.
So if you look like Precious and you look in the mirror, and
I
you
think
tell
people
yourself
take that fake it till you
beautiful,
make it thing the
then-
wrong way. They take it in terms
Right.
of blowing a bag when you really ain't got the money like that. I don't think that's what it means, but that's how it's being.
No, I'm saying, like I said,
Misinterpreted,
the
right.
example, if you look like Precious and you in the mirror and keep telling yourself you're beautiful, then that's how you gonna feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Self-appreciation, self-esteem.
Precious.
No, oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's
So
true.
why are you laughing?
No, that is true. You
I
are
seen
as
on something
beautiful.
recently she
You
lost
are
weight.
as beautiful as you feel. You are beautiful.
I'm pretty sure she ain't a virgin.
Listen.
Somebody took it down.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen. I'm gonna tell you a true story, and this might be a little hard for you to believe, but this might be a little hard for you to believe. But you know, growing up, I didn't think that I was beautiful. I didn't. Like as a kid in elementary school, I was too light to be black, but too dark to be white. Then middle school, I started growing to my features. My lips was too big, my hair was too curly, had to be a Jerry curl. You know, I went through all those phases. No, for real.
Jerry
so
curl?
I decided, you
Yeah,
know,
Jerry curl?
I did not have a Jerry curl. It was my natural curl. However, so I went to my tomboy phase.
Sheen on it.
I did not. It was all natural. It was all natural. All natural. All natural. It was all natural.
You love spots in the couch.
Okay, now you're taking it too far. No, but so I decided that I was gonna be a tomboy, so I could kind of be under the radar. I played sports, and you know, I played basketball, ran track. I did extracurricular activities outside of school, but you know, to everybody, I seemed like I was popular because I did all these different things. But to me, I felt like I was about this big. You know what I mean? And that and some things that happened to me in my personal life, but you know, I think that.
What extracurricular activities you did? After school program?
No, I did. Well, I did do after school programs. I did tutoring. I did karate, jazz, tap, kickboxing, modeling, acting. I did not start. I didn't have it that hard. Now I said we struggled, but I didn't know. No, but you know, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to get into who I am. It wasn't until my senior year of high school that I started believing that I was beautiful. So that, you know, like.
So it took you that long to realize that you was a beautiful woman.
Yes, it did. It did.
In high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it did. Going into my last year of high school, it did.
So that
but it took me having to. But I had to drill that.
Might be an average timeline
but
for
I had
some women.
No, some women get a lot later than that. But I had to drill it in myself. I had to tell myself every day, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful. And the more that I started saying that, the more that, like, I started hearing that all the time. So people are like, well, oh, you know you're pretty, so I ain't gonna give you the big head. Well, you're not giving me the big head anymore, because I've enlarged my head as much as I could on my own. So now nothing that you tell me if you tell me I'm horrible or ugly, it doesn't affect who I am, because I've built myself up on my own. You know what I mean? So
at that point in high school, is that where you started appreciating and recognizing yourself?
Yeah, that was my beginning. That was my beginning. I still didn't know my full potential. I still didn't know who I was, but I knew who I didn't want to be.
So at what point did you maximize that?
I'm gonna take a piss break again. Yeah, carry on. You know what I'm saying?
I was in college, and I started kind of tailoring my major to what I really wanted to do in life. And you know, I did the college thing, and I don't do anything that has to do with my major. But, well, the writing part, I got that. Okay. But I think that with that, it caused me to be dedicated, and dedicating myself to something showed me, you know, that if I apply myself, then I can actually do it. So with that, with having to drill in me that I am beautiful, starting at that point, I realized that anything that I tell myself, I can teach myself. Anything I can teach myself, I can become. So that's what it really took for me. So it wasn't until college that I started really actually remembering the things that my mother had already instilled in me. She had already instilled the stuff in me. It just was for me to dig deep back and, you know, bring that in. Right. Because back then, because I had self-image issues, even though she told me this and she gave me my history and all this other stuff and told me what my ancestors looked like and where I came from, this and the other, I wasn't ready to receive that yet, or even understand it or accept it, you know? So it took me having to, I knew it, but it took me having to be ready to go and seek that for myself.
Got you. So college was the point. How early? Was it midway through college, towards the end of college, or what?
No, I think that I was together in my first year of college. I started doing protests and working on campaigns and everything like that. Like for me, once I opened my mind and myself up to wanting to change and accept who I am, from then it was just like forward. You know what I mean? It was just from there.
So we say some of these qualities to start recognizing that queen in you is ambition, open-mindedness.
Right, you gotta have the willingness to want to see.
That willingness, open-mindedness, being able to, just shine and come into self.
And you gotta have people around, you gotta have positive people around you as well, because when you have positive people around you, they're not gonna tell you the negative. They're not gonna tell you anything harmful. They're not gonna tell you anything to break your spirit. They're gonna bring you up, and while they're bringing you up, because they're only feeding you positivity, you're gonna feed off their positivity and reflect back positivity. So I think that is another essential key that that has a lot to do with it too. Like we got to do that too. Men, women, everybody. We all have to come together and do that. So I think your circle that you're around is big too. That has a lot to do with it too. Because if everything I'm telling you is positive and I'm building you up and you building me back up, then as you're becoming, a queen, a king, a queen for me, but coming into the knowledge of who you are, as I'm building you up, you're building me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I guess for men too, it goes the same way, and recognizing that king in them and who they are, and being that as such, not just saying the term, but living the term, and showing that, So for those who are listening, once again, we talking about self-appreciation and recognizing the queen in you, and Author Tia Kemali is here.
Kemali.
Sorry.
Just murder me, but
Hot tamale.
All right.
She made some very good, valid points, for the women who are kind of, we call it up north, like the late great author and Nas said, black girls lost, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? For those who are misguided or lost, some of these keys to being a queen and recognizing that self-appreciation is having that ambition, having that open-mindedness, keeping a positive attitude, and keeping positivity around you to be that person, not letting these society influences or other people telling you what you are, how you are, or what you should look like, because, like we said earlier, the transformations of getting your ass done, all of that, I think all of that is worked out through, through self, just mentally, your self-esteem, keeping, knowing how to feed your mind, knowing how to feed your body, working out, you know what I'm saying? And these are things that can come from self, all doing on your own, not just seeing or following a trend or an example, like you said, so it's very important to know who you are first, or figure out what you want, how you want it, and go after it.
But a lot of it is geared and drilled towards society, because it was a time where black females ain't never do nothing like that until they started being a celebrity or getting that type of money.
But it's not, it's not even.
And get boob jobs or inject
But it's not even.
That's just crazy to me.
It's not even.
Because that's self-hate to me, in my opinion.
No, you're right, because they're gonna be old and saggy.
Right.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
But it's not even just black women that are doing that though. You got the white women that are doing that too. You got Amber Rose, you got all the Kardashians.
Right. But it's okay for them, because that's where it started. When you was young, 8, 9 years old, watching movies, you heard of them getting plastic surgery.
No offense to anyone.
But when black women do it, that's not the norm really for our culture, not how we grow up and stuff like that. That's not the norm in here. Black woman got injection, huh? For what? You look good how you are. Yeah. So I think a lot of them times they still searching and trying to find what love is. Or
they
still
are.
trying to search for their king,
but they are. But that's why I don't like to call it staying woke or whatever, because it's not. People think of staying woke in terms of race wars,
right?
But it's not. And I like to say coming into the knowledge, because it's in terms of everything, organic consciousness, but it's in terms of everything. Like, that has to do with every facet of life. You know what I mean? You have to love everything about life, period. Like, just like how they said God had agape love. Agape love is a never-ending love for everything. For people, plants, places, everything. Right. So when you have when you exude nothing but that, your whole life is different. You know what I mean? Your energy is different. The people around you is different. Everything you give off is different. Your light is different. Like there's no way you can look at me and be like, oh, well, you pretty, but you ain't got no booty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get some ass shots right now. You don't think like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just your opinion. But I'm so high off of this emotion that I exude. Exactly. But it doesn't matter. Look how many people, how many times they say these ass shots is dropping down and all that. They still going to get them like hot tamales. That hasn't stopped nothing. One man ain't stopping no show. You have to be ready for that shit. You have to be ready for that awakening within yourself.
It's a turn off to me.
I don't want to have a female and I slap her butt and then something start dripping and leaking. Whoa, what's going on?
I don't think it's gonna be that visible.
You never know, you know what I'm saying?
But just the whole idea of getting liposuction and putting it in certain places,
Remy Ma said Nicki Minaj, what's his name? Cause Meek Mill couldn't smash for 3 months.
I mean,
it leaked. One of them leaked.
Yeah, but then leak on the
I'm
outside,
supposed to be in a
on the
relationship
inside.
with you, and I'm gonna wait till you get your ass filled up. So I'm supposed to deprive myself for 3 months. Because I'm waiting for you to get your ass filled up because it leaked.
Well, what's wrong with waiting 3 months?
Huh?
I had an ex that waited 5.
5 for what?
And I swear I could have married him.
5 for what?
To be intimate.
Really?
Yes.
He's a fool.
He was not a fool. He was not a fool. He was not a fool. He was a great guy, and it made me respect him that much more that he was willing to wait for me.
So did he recognize the queen in you? That's the question.
While waiting 5 months?
Yeah. That's how he recognized the queen in you?
He treated. That's the one I was telling you that opened every single door.
Oh yeah.
For me, my mama, any woman that was around, period, he opened every single. It wasn't just to impress me because if I wasn't there, he would still do it.
It wasn't to impress you? Where was he from?
It was because he was raised that way. He was taught that way.
Oh, this planet?
No. He was from a good, and his mother was a single mother.
He wasn't from the Bronx. Let's just put that out
he
there.
was raised by a strong black woman. He was raised by a strong black woman. And I'm not taking anything from your mother. I'm just saying that men nowadays, men nowadays are being taught differently. Because you have, my grandparents, like my grandfather was taught a certain way, his grandfather was taught a certain way, his grandfather's grandfather was taught a certain way, but somewhere along the line that was stripped away and changed. Like it wasn't passed on anymore. You know, like my father was raised by a white father and a white mother in Jamaica. Really? But they had migrated from Germany, so he was raised in Jamaica, and he had no clue that his birth mother was black. So he didn't find out until he was maybe like 16 years old.
So your grandfather was German and your grandmother was what?
She was Jamaican. Both of them is Jamaican, but he migrated to Jamaica from Germany.
Oh, okay.
So my father was raised in Jamaica, but he didn't know that he had a black mother till he was 16 years old. So he met her.
That's like Bob Marley, though.
He met her, moved with her, didn't work out, moved back home with his father, met my mom, got her pregnant, they got married, had me. You know, my mom came up here, filed for him, brought him up there, whatever.
So you're the oldest.
So there's one older than me living in England that was his, but she's about to say my older sister lives in England. But my other sister considered me the oldest because they don't have contact with her, but I do. But long story short, I say all that to say that, you know, through that upbringing, even though my father's father had a lot of money and so he never wanted for anything, but through that he gained a lot of mommy issues because his mother wasn't there when he was growing up. You know what I mean? My grandfather had 27 kids. My grandmother had 10 kids that were not from my grandfather. So my father had like 37 siblings. But that was common for Jamaicans, you know? So growing up, he had mommy issues, so his mother wasn't there to teach him how to do this and what a man should do, blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, he has white mom, and that's not to say that they're more passive.
So they don't have condoms in Jamaica?
Apparently not.
They ain't going to work. I know what it is. That jerk chicken. It's spicy.
Right.
That's spicy.
I ain't have nothing to do with that.
It skipped over me.
It skipped over me. It might be, no, it's the peanut punch. That's what it is.
Oh, the rum punch.
The peanut punch. Peanut punch. Yes.
I heard rum punch. I don't know
No,
peanut
rum punch is something different.
Yeah,
It's
it was
peanut butter.
punch. I never had
Ask the Jamaican, they tell you. They put Guinness and all that stuff in it. Yeah, ask them, they tell you. But
that's why, yeah, that helps, you know.
But yeah, it skipped me. No, but with that, he had mommy issues, so it's like I think that plummeted over into his dating life, because my mother was the only woman that he ever married, but every other woman he had a kid with, every other woman he dated, he had a kid with. Kid here, kid here, kid here, kid here, kid here. You know what I mean? He had 3 with my mom, but
I don't know, because our moms, she never taught us to open doors and shit like that for women. I mean,
right,
she
so
taught
you
us
know.
to know how to treat a woman, you know, and
Right, but that's
respect
what
them
I'm
as,
saying.
you know,
Somewhere
but,
along the line, it wasn't taught.
I mean, it don't take away.
I'm not saying that it takes away. I'm not
Not
saying
just
that.
opening
I'm
doors.
not-
It's just extra.
I think that's.
I'm not.
that's
It's
the
totally not
attitude.
extra.
Yeah.
That I just want to say across the board from here on out, because of my ex setting that standard, that is now like a requirement for me.
For fellas that's out here, go tune in, look it loud, and listen, learn how to open doors. So y'all can show y'all ladies that
Protection.
chivalry is not dead. Y'all can show them protection on that comfort level,
Yeah.
and also, what is it? Appreciation.
Appreciation.
But you know what? That's what you gotta have a podcast on: the role of the black man
Role
in
of the black
a
man.
relationship.
No, because
No, yes, you
men
do.
should need to know their role, and if they don't,
No,
we
no,
might
you
do that.
can't-
We might
you
do that
can't
because
expect
we might have to teach them how
Exactly. You can't
know?
expect. You
Hey,
can't expect it
yeah, we
to
might-
be known.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
to make sure that it's known. That's our thing. We expect. I expect you to act a certain way and to carry yourself a certain way. And you expect me to do the
Expect the
same.
unexpected.
Right,
can't
but if I
expect
don't
certain
know
things, you
and
just gotta
you
be
don't
dancing in
know,
the
if I
moment.
don't know what you're supposed to do and you don't know what I'm supposed to do, how do we know that we're doing it right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But that has to be taught through communication.
Exactly. That's
You know,
why that's
communication rule the nation.
It has to be taught through the communication.
I'll take that in cash, check, or
Communication rule the nation. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have communication.
exactly
Class 101. You know.
for
I mean,
everything.
because I don't know, from our moms is like a queen. Queen is a strong black woman. Our moms, she never put no weave in her, even to this day, down to her back. You know what I'm saying? She always showed us how to provide. She always provided. You know what I'm saying? And these are traits that we see in her
Right, but
that
did
we
she-
will be able to recognize in a
In a
woman that
woman,
we
right.
find. You
Not
Right.
trying to compare.
Right, but then
we know
she
attributes
showed
we
you
want.
how to provide, yes. But she showed you how to provide for whom? For you? Or she showed you how to provide for a woman or for your family or to be a covering, to be,
It's both.
It goes both. I would say both.
She told us how the aspect of how a woman should be treated and affection and things of that nature. And then as you see and learn as you grow how to adjust and adapt to what you're supposed to do when you're in a relationship and how you treat a woman. So if we grew up seeing a woman get beat up, then that's probably what we might do when we in a relationship.
right.
But we don't hit women, because that's not our makeup. That ain't our character. That ain't nothing we've been around. From uncles, cousins, just they tell us, hey, a person who got a man that have to put their hand on a woman, that means he has no confidence in himself and he has
Right.
no game. So he's a weak individual,
Right.
personally. Because women are the opposite sex, the weakest sex, but more emotional. So we
Right.
know that. So
We're totally more emotional.
right. So all
But-
that come into play.
But it does come into play. But knowing that a woman is more emotional, knowing that, shouldn't that be something that you have to learn to cater to?
Absolutely. You
But
know,
do you think that men do that?
to a certain extent,
I
I believe they do.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know about
Some
that.
guys,
But I think
Some don't. I think some
dealing
don't,
in a
and I think
relationship,
some
not dealing
to a
with
certain
dealing in a
extent.
relationship, I think that is also essential to building a woman up and to helping her realize the queen in her. Because if I'm dating you and you know, I'm dating you and everything that I say, you feel like I'm so emotional, but you just cut to the chase, like, oh, I can't deal with this, I need a break, or whatever the situation is, that you're not helping me work through that. Like, I feel like, and this is probably like one of the worst theories ever, so, you know, If you don't agree with me, then you know. But I feel like I would, not that I would rather argue, because I don't like to argue, but I feel like I would, if we have to argue in order to like be able to squash it and move past it, then that's what we gotta do. Because if I feel a certain type of way and you don't agree with it, but every time we try to talk about it, we argue, and so we just like, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna take a break. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I miss you, or I want to talk to you, or whatever. And try to come back, and then it's like that same issue right then and there. Like, we gotta get to the nitty gritty. We gotta dig deep down to the bone, right? Until we can get past it. So I think that's the hard part, because dating is so easy nowadays. You don't have to put in that much work. So if once we get to our first roadblock, you just like, you know what, fuck her.
What makes it so easy?
Let me call Diane. What you doing? You know?
Why is it so easy now? Is it easy for the man or the woman?
It's easy for, well, in Atlanta, it's easy for the men.
So.
Because there's so much women that you don't really have to put up with nothing if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't. You know what I mean?
What, 11 to 1 in Atlanta?
It might be more than that now.
You think it's more than that? Yeah.
If you're excluding some other
factors. But you got the transgender, but we ain't gonna touch there. But some dudes might be wanting to put their liquor down, visualize who they talking to, you know. Because
I just think that it's more difficult
but
for
it's like
women
at least 11 to 1.
It's
right?
more difficult for a woman to date seriously out here than it is for a man.
Really?
Yeah. If you decided you wanted to date seriously, you still have at least 5 out of that 11 that you can still choose from. As a woman, it's not, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Because you might, the rest of them might just, they're okay with being jump off society people.
Yeah, right.
So you might have 5 out of that 11 that really want to date seriously, but that's still giving you a variety.
They okay with side pieces jump off.
Right.
Be in that position. They know their position.
But, so you still got variety. But as a woman here, being that the number is so small for us, in terms of dating a man, like, it's a lot harder. Because
why is it so small?
I can set my standards and say this is what I want and this is what, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, if a guy's like, oh, this is too much damn work.
Well, why is it so small like that in Atlanta for women?
Because I feel like a lot of women here feel like we have to be alpha women. You know what I mean? We are king and queen, which is what I was saying earlier. And it's hard. The hardest thing is to have to assume that role and then have to turn around and relinquish it to someone else. Like, that's hard. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like for me, like, I've had, I'm a divorcee, and I think that I got married young, and I don't think that was the reason why I got divorced. It was my in-laws, totally, 100%, I blame her. But, but I feel like, I would probably still be married knowing what I know now if I knew that then. But, that's then, that's in the past. So I think that my last relationship, we could have probably made that work if either side was able to relinquish a little bit of power. But I think that because of life and the things that we've been through, we were both so set in our ways, and I was the alpha woman, and I had to do this and that and the other, so I just felt like, if I ask you to do something, or I expect you to do something, you don't do it, then I'm going to do it for you.
Right. You want
anyway, to show you that I don't even fucking need your ass, I'm doing it on my own. And that's not right either. So even whereas I compromised a lot, I did that a lot too.
It's not, because when you're in a relationship and you don't give a task, or it may not even be a task, but just something you want a person to do for you, it should get done. You expect it to get done. Because if it was reciprocated, you would want to stand up and rise to the occasion for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
If I were capable, right?
You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. It's kind of different, because it's like, all right, how do the man that meets you will say, oh, man, I like her. This is somebody I want to make or be intimate with or make my number one female.
You said the wrong thing already. You said number one.
What?
You said number one. You can't have a king can't have multiple queens. You can only
No, hello. We live. Talk to me. Talk about it, then.
It depends on. We'll use flowers as an example.
No, example.
I'm not an example, because I don't like flowers.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Last time I got flowers, I popped
women like flowers, right?
Put them in water and soaked them.
That's what you're going to do, right? So if a man sends you flowers, surprise, at your job,
I'm making some rose water.
What you going to throw them away?
No.
Thank you. You gonna
I
say,
ain't
oh,
gonna
wow.
order them either,
But
though. I
what
don't
would you
like
say?
flowers.
I mean, you don't like flowers.
But see,
it's
if
the
a man
thought.
was into
It's the
me,
thought.
it
He
is
don't
the
know
thought.
you don't like him. You
It is
never
the
told
thought.
him
It is the
that.
thought. But if he was
It's the
dating me, the
thought.
other four died off. He should at least by that time know what my likes and dislikes are.
Right, exactly. And
So
vice
then use the
versa.
flowers
And
as
vice
an example.
versa. Because he know, damn, shit, it's wherever location you might be, Atlanta, wherever, New York, the ratio is more women than men, but it's just something about her I like, so forget them. That's how it happens. You know what I'm saying? With women, it might happen a little different, but that's how it happens with men. You know what
So
I'm saying?
how long after does he weed out?
Caller?
Yeah, we got another.
Got another caller. Let's go to the phone line, take another call.
Call, what's up? What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Hello? Guess they hung up. Alright.
They must be nervous, you know. I don't know what's going on.
Touchy topic. No, it is a touchy topic. Like it is. We really have to. I think that we all have to work together to build each other up to the kings and queens that we know that we can be. We say it, but without action behind it, like
Actions speak louder than words.
Of course.
Sometimes you might be in a position as a man that might not tell your woman how much you love her, or care for her, appreciate her, but if you going out your way and doing things above and beyond, she should already see it and know it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
so a man can show you your worth
right,
without telling you.
right. But if you're showing her worth and she doesn't get it, then she's not the one for you. Because if somebody's showing you what you're worth and you're not getting it, like she's still got a lot of kinks she got to work out within herself. So if you're here, but she's like here and you're trying to help her, the only thing you can do is try. So if you trying and you can't get her up, then you try.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
My thing is, if I get in a situation that doesn't work for me, as long as I can say, well, I've tried everything I can, it still don't work, I can balance with a clear conscience and a free heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in a situation and I know that I ain't shit and I ain't giving it my all or nothing, and I turn around and it don't work out, and I walk away, there's no way that I can say, well, I wasn't part of the issue because I didn't try. The only thing you can do is try. So if you're here and you're not equally yoked, in the Bible, when the Bible says a woman was a covering for the man, but I feel like that, that's old. And I feel like we can be each other's covering. If I'm not where you are, you can cover me. You can try to get me to that point, and vice versa. If you're not there, I can do that for you and try to get you. You know what I mean? But if neither one of us, right? But if I'm not growing and you're not growing, then we don't need to be together. Cause that's gonna die out. That's a dead weed. That's gonna die out.
Well, see, the reason or a way that you might know that you have a queen or you might be dealing with a king is if y'all together and times get hard and one gotta pick up the pieces for both, or vice versa. The woman might have to pick up the pieces for both. You know what I'm saying? And still hold it down till the man get back on his feet.
But you have some men that don't allow you to do that.
Huh?
You got some men that don't allow you to do that. Maybe because of pride or whatever the situation
Really,
is.
you have some women
and then you have some women, right?
With that
with
don't
taking
want to do
that all
that
the
as
time,
comfortable,
right?
With that lifestyle,
You do, but you see, but that's what I'm saying when I said that it's interchangeable between men and women, because the women that have their bills paid. I had a lot of clients that they didn't work a day in their life, and I'm talking about they lived in way nicer homes than I did. I had a townhouse. They had a condo up in like 37th floor in Buckhead. You know what I mean? And their rent was like quadruple mine. They never had to work or nothing like that. I ain't gonna say what they was doing because I wasn't there. I don't know what they was doing. But what I'm saying is they're so comfortable with a man taking care of that they would never have to get up and get a job. So at the end of the day, if every dude they talked to decided they wasn't gonna deal with them no more, you're fucked.
Right. So that's not a queen.
It's not. But what
because
I'm saying,
it's not
a queen. It's not a queen. But a woman who is on a level lower than that is looking up to her, wanting to be like that. You know what I mean? So
but even if a woman was in that position, she should still know that damn, I still need to do what I gotta do and bring to the table, regardless if he pampering me or showing me love or treating me top.
Right. Because you're always gonna have your own, but that wasn't the example.
See. And that's what people, you know, vice versa. A lot of guys get comfortable and have a woman that might take care of them. Me, I ain't cut from that cloth. I don't want no woman to take care of me. I'm a man. I'm gonna be me regardless.
The way my grandparents did it. The way my grandparents.
You know what I'm saying?
The way my grandparents did it, and I have the utmost respect for my grandmother. But the way that my grandparents did it, my grandfather and my grandmother both worked. My grandfather took his whole check and covered every single bill there was. My grandmother bought the groceries. She made sure that all the curtains and drapes and stuff was up. Made sure the furniture,
the house,
Right. She cooked all the meals. She did everything. You know what I'm saying? So it was an equal balance. Even though he wasn't seeing his check, her money went to everything else. And they never wanted for nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that when a woman says that a man should pay the bills, men take that the wrong way, and women also interpret it wrong as well. Because they feel like, well, that means men should pay the bills and I shouldn't have to worry about shit. Right. That's not what that means.
That's in this era.
Yeah. Right,
you know what I'm saying? Because
but men also feel like they shouldn't pay the bills.
Because sometimes, like you said, it should be 100. But if the man is paying all the bills and the woman is cooking or cleaning or whatever, that may be all right. You know what I'm saying? But and in that same realm, if the man is paying all the bills and something happen, the woman should be able to have.
Right, but But no, I said she was doing that, but she also held her own full time. My grandma was, listen, she was a Wonder Woman, okay? I still haven't met that standard yet, because if I'm working, I'm going to cook maybe once a week. You better find something other.
Once a week?
The other 6 days, you better find something else.
You better be working?
Alright, we got to call her again. Hopefully this time it won't hang up or they won't be scared or whatever. Caller, what's up? What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
My name is Royalty, calling from Killeen, Texas.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Let's get you a tape.
I'm sorry?
You got a question or comment? Can she hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
Hello?
Call dropped again. I don't know. Maybe your reception bad.
What's the same?
I guess so. Maybe a reception bad, but you know, a queen, you know, like you said, speaking on your grandparents, she might have held her own, still cooking clean. In this era now, a queen will recognize, like, if something was to go wrong, like you said, a lot of women ain't doing that. They rather just, if the man is paying the bills, okay, well, if they able to cook nowadays, because a lot of women can't cook. A lot of women can't. You know, so that's part of being a queen.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like to. I cook for holidays and birthdays, and that's about it.
That's it?
No, I'll cook every now and then. But I don't like to. I like to find a man that can cook.
Why?
I can't have no choice.
You in a relationship,
I hate that I keep
Jamaican.
Listen,
right?
yes.
I
have to cook now. I have to cook now. I have to cook now.
If you with your man and y'all staying together and he coming home from work, you don't want to cook, or you want him to cook?
Oh no, if I'm in a relationship like that, we live together, then I don't have no choice. We gotta split that. But we gonna rock paper scissors.
Yeah, if you live together.
If we live together, that's different. When I was married, I had to cook every single day. But I was grateful that. No, but I was grateful that he cooked.
I want some jerk chicken.
Listen, I was grateful that he cooked it. I was grateful.
There you go.
You know what?
Roti. I want some roti.
All right.
I want some chicken patties.
He could cook too. So I was grateful in that area because we got to rock paper scissors it out sometimes. And I hate that I keep referring to my last ex, but he could cook. So I mean, he wanted to cook. You know what I mean? So and I didn't say nothing about it because I didn't mind, you know. So, but I mean, if it comes to a point where I have to cook, then sure I will because I know how to. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, you have a lot of women that know how to cook.
You can't be a Jamaican female and not know how to cook.
Is that a call?
Yeah, we got a call. We gonna see who this is. Y'all gonna have to make it quick. We about to go off, so. Caller, where you from? And what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your name, caller? What's up? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes?
Yes, how you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Tiffany. I'm calling from Baltimore.
Okay,
Hi, Tiffany, how are you?
all right.
We're gonna take your question or comment. We got about 5 minutes left for the show, but we gonna, we'd like to hear what you got to say.
My question is, if you're trying to, I guess what the topic was, the queen and the woman.
Right,
Yeah, the
appreciation
queen in you.
and recognizing of the queen in you, in yourself.
And myself. So
Right.
when you're dating or you're in a relationship and you might, how do that transpire for a man to treat you like the queen in you? If he, it's a lot of temptation out there. So if you're with this man, I guess this is for the woman. How would you answer this question if the man is, I guess, feel like he's doing everything as a man and he might still want to go out there and do everything? How do that helps the woman understand that she's that queen?
All right, listen.
Well,
Oh, you want to take it? Go ahead.
She said it was for the woman.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you got some body parts.
I was going to give it to you on a perspective.
Okay, well, we'll take
Keep
it.
listening, Tiffany from Baltimore. We're gonna answer that question right now.
No, hold on, listen, I'm about to make it real short and sweet for you because we don't have that much time. But from a man's perspective, how does he treat that person, that specific female, as a queen when they first start dating? Is because he should sense or know that energy and that aura that she possesses and she brings to the table, and that will make him kind of think, damn, I like her, she kind of cool. Let me open the door, let me do this and do that, this, that, and the third for her. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that what you're saying in terms of dating a man and he is doing everything that he needs to do at home, but still kind of going out. Like, okay, so in terms of my culture, I'm
It's not
Jamaican.
even when they first. It's not. I think it's not kind of when they're first dating. I think it's just in a relationship period.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Several years.
So, okay, so you were speaking when they first dated. So yeah,
Okay.
but in my culture, I'm Jamaican, so in my culture, you have that. The man takes care of home. He does everything he's supposed to do at home, takes care of the wife, takes care of the kids, makes sure everything's paid, everything's taken care of, everything. But he still goes outside the home. That's what you're talking about, right?
Correct.
So, one of the things that I learned is that a guy will only give you, or you will only get as much as you're willing to put up with. So if he knows that if I go do this and I come home, she's still gonna, she may be mad, but she's gonna keep me or whatever. I'm still gonna have a home to come to. Everything's still gonna be fine. She might be mad for a month, but we'll still be okay after that. He's gonna continue to do that because he knows that that's the crush he can fall back on. The hardest thing would be to accept who you are and know who you are. And when you know who you are, then you know what you can accept and what you won't accept. So with that being said, is that you have to set a standard and stick to it. So even if you don't want to leave him forever and you just want to teach him a lesson, then you have to stick to that standard. If you say, hey, if you do this, you can't come back in the home, then you have to set that standard. And when he does that again, you got to put his ass out. So at the end of the day, he will. No, see, the thing is, when a man has taken care of home and he has home, he's gonna come back to home. So if he messes up and he gets kicked out of home, you let him bask in that mess up. And when he gets it right, then he can come home. If he doesn't, then he can't. And I don't mean saying he got it right. I mean he has to start showing you, because the thing is, if a man does everything that he has to do to get you, he needs to do that same exact stuff to keep you. And once he's occupied with doing everything that he had to do to get you, and reoccupying himself with that to keep you, plus everything else that comes within that home, he shouldn't have time to be going outside of the house. Because a man would tell you, well, if I'm going out here, it's something that you're not doing, this and that other. But no, when you know the queen in you and what you are and what you possess and what you want, then you have to stick to that.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question a lot. And what is the, I guess the gentleman, I want to hear from the gentleman's point of view of it.
Oh, I'm Cookoff, and I just gave you my aspect of it before Tia spoke to you. So, who else you want to hear from? You want to hear from RDOTT?
Well, for me, in a relationship, you're gonna recognize that queen, like Cookoff said from jump. You know, you gonna see the qualities that she possessed, and to make the man not want to step out, you gonna play your role and acknowledge, as well as acknowledge the things that he's showing you for your own self-worth. Like if he's constantly telling you how beautiful you are.
If you talking from a first dating perspective or in a relationship for
in a relationship.
Help her.
Okay, I'm talking about a relationship. If he messed up, you know, I do agree with Tia in a sense. Like you have to hold that man to a standard of what you want and what you want him to respect you as for that queen. You know what I'm saying? If the man mess up and step out, then you gotta let him know. You gotta show him, you know,
a reprimand.
Yeah, you gotta draw that line somewhere and tell him like, yo, this is what it is. This is what it's gonna be. I'm not gonna take that because I know what I want. I know what I have. I know what I'm gonna bring to you. So if you got the nerve to step outside of what I'm already showing you and giving you, then this at some point this is not gonna be us. Obviously, you don't want this queen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you put that. 90 seconds.
Okay, well, you like to
we thank you, Tiffany, for calling in.
Tiffany from Be More.
From Be More. If you wanna, you know, you can tell your friends, family. You know, we can tell them to write us on Instagram, Rich Already Podcast. Leave your thoughts and comments. You know, we're about to wrap it up.
We appreciate your call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 60 seconds.
So yeah, we about to wrap it up. Thanks to Nicole in Ohio for calling. Tiffany from Baltimore calling in just now and asking her question. You know, if you wanna find us or leave your other thoughts, comments, or concerns, you can hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at Rich Already Podcast. That's Rich Already Podcast. I'm RDOTT. You can find me on Instagram at r.com. That's RDOTT.com.
And you want to leave your questions, comments, complaints, and concerns. I'm Cookoff for 718. That's my IG.
Mine is at Tia, SEWTIA. My website is listed on there.
All right, and that's been fun, and we out. Tune in next time.
Stay rich.
Y'all know what time it is. It's the one and only RDOTT with the infamous Cookoff. And this is the Rich Already Podcast, man. Rich already, not just meaning in wealth or monetary value. I'm talking about health, mind, body, and spirit. It's time to get with it. Stop thinking so simple and think about our principles. Start with our mental, use the eye in our central vessel of the brain. That's how we change things. It's time to spread our wings and soar like some eagles. This podcast is here to bring awareness to the people. RICHALREADY. Enjoy the topics each week. Enlightenment we speak, giving it to you raw. Nothing but the realness, straight from the door. Truth and opinions, no alternative facts. We here to break barriers with positive impact. Recognize the real, comical yet and still powerful words of wisdom that everyone can feel. I'm rich, he rich, she rich, stay rich. Already. We rich, stay rich, stay rich, stay rich. Already. Get rich, stay rich, be rich, stay rich.